Welcome to the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. Just like you, I'm an independent retail business owner. I love the home decor and gift boutique I co-own with my sister, but I don't want it to consume me or my life. Join me each week as I share lessons learned, helpful tips, and valuable information for your retail business and life. Whether you're buying your products or making your products, whether you're a $25K business or a $2.5 million business, I'm on a mission to help indie retailers work less, profit more, and grow. Let's get started on today's episode. Welcome to episode 111 of the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. Slow seasons don't define you or your business. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. It's odd because normally I record these podcast episodes when I'm working from home, and I work from home 2 or 3 days a week. But today I was at my store and I just literally walked in, took off my coat, and started recording. So it feels odd to me. But I'm also a little bit behind. It happens, right? I'm sure you've all experienced this. I actually went away. It was a local trip, but I stayed at an Airbnb with a biz bestie. Shout out to Maureen for doing that with me. And I went for 2 days because I really needed to do some deep dive work on the future plans that I have for Savvy Shopkeeper. Lots more to come on that. But I needed 2 whole days uninterrupted, not at home, worrying about laundry, dishes, all those things. Multitasking, which I can often do when I'm home, and I just needed some uninterrupted, really focused time. And I'm so grateful I did that. We had a fantastic weekend. I have things figured out. Things have become a little more clear, and I know for sure they're going to get even more clear. So I have a lot of that I'll be sharing in the future. But I just thought I'd share my experience because I think sometimes the people that listen to the podcast or people on my group memberships, they say, how do you do it all? And I do quite a bit. I get it. But, sometimes I fall behind too. And here I am. What's today? Today's Tuesday. Normally I have the podcast done by Sunday. It's Tuesday evening and I'm recording it, but stuff happens, right? Anyhow, all for good reasons. I'm really excited about the future for Savvy Shopkeeper, for group members in particular. More on that later. But let's get started on today's episode. So my intention for this episode is to explain why slow seasons don't define us and don't define our businesses. And if this is something that you're personally experiencing, especially in January, now we're into February, I want to talk about what you can do during these times so you can keep the momentum going in your business and, more importantly, in your mind. The one thing I hope you've seen, particularly over the past year, is my focus on our minds, on our mindset. This episode was inspired by Jen Dunn of Rustic Rehabs and by all the shopkeepers really in our group memberships who struggle during these slower times. And it happens all the time. There are often conversations in the group around this topic, and I don't know if I've ever recorded a podcast on this particular subject matter, so I thought it was time. And Jen, for sure, she inspired this. We had a lengthy conversation about this subject, and Jen is a Master Shopkeepers member who joined the group even before she opened a brick and mortar space. And I give her a ton of credit because she knew what she wanted. She knew she wanted to be a brick and mortar retailer, and she surrounded herself with incredible retail store owners in Master Shopkeepers. She now has 2 spaces, and I know Jen, if she's listening to this, she's already trying to minimize her growth in terms of being a business owner. And Jen, I'm going to stop you. Now, her spaces are not traditional brick and mortar stores. One is a little bit larger, and then one is an office space. So one's for retail and teaching workshops. She refurbishes furniture and takes old things and makes them new again, which I can totally relate to. And then the other one is more of an office space with a bit of a recording studio so that she can grow her YouTube channel. We will be sure to link both her website and her YouTube channel so you can follow her and support her and cheer her on. And I just love the leaps of faith and the trust she's put in herself to open these spaces and to go for what she wants. Again, it's Rustic Rehabs. If you want to find her online, if you want to follow her on social media, she's witty, she's funny, and she's super sweet. You won't be disappointed. Moving forward, I want to tell you about 2 blog posts that I have. They've been written for years, I think, about surviving and thriving during the slow seasons in retail. We'll be sure to link these in the show notes too. And generally, these are known as the J months: January, June, and July. Why can the J months be slow for some retailers? It definitely probably feels slower when we compare it to Q4 or December, because Q4 and December can be incredible revenue months for so many of us. And then in January, things slow down. And then in July, when summer and June and July come along and summer hits, especially if you're in colder climates like us in Ohio, everyone wants to be spending time outdoors. So sometimes it's a little bit harder to get the people to come in and shop in your stores. Many consumers are spending more time outside and the shopping slows down in the summer. Now, again, it depends on the area you're in, the country that you're in, but traditionally for many retailers, they experience these slower months in January, June, and July. However, I also want to acknowledge that the slower J months don't apply to all retailers. I get that. Depending on your business type, the area you're in, maybe what you sell, you could actually experience slow seasons during different months. I know, especially for the people who are in tourist areas in the summertime, your busiest months are June and July, right? But in the end, I guess my point is we may all experience slow seasons, slow months in our businesses. So I am recording this at the beginning of February, and I'm recording it because I've seen the conversations and the mindset struggles in January. I saw the conversations. And I used to also struggle in January too when I first opened my store. But I want to acknowledge that these slow seasons vary from retailer to retailer. If you are new to owning a retail business, in particular a brick and mortar business, you may not have realized how much sales and foot traffic could or did drop in January. I've had this conversation with a couple of master shopkeepers who were brand new, and they were like, whoa, it was like somebody slammed on the brakes. And at that point, when that happens, you may be questioning everything you put into your business the past 6 months or a year, however long it took you to open. You may be questioning your business model, your ability to attract customers, your ability to run a business, all the business things you might be questioning because maybe no one warned you. And I laugh because in a way it's funny. Like we just sometimes have no idea, right? We don't know what we don't know. So in the end, if you do experience slow seasons, if you just experienced one in January and you're worried about February, if you have other slow seasons in your retail business, you're the person I'm talking to today. The one thing that comes up often in Master Shopkeepers is that retail is a long game. I'm going to say it again because we get really stubborn and we get really down. And I think it's important to say this again. Retail is a long game. Yes, we look at daily sales, weekly sales, and monthly sales. And of course, I don't want any business owner to ignore their numbers. However, these numbers are just one part of the big picture. I recently finished teaching the 2022 Retail CEO Challenge. Shout out to all my challenge participants. This was such a good group of challenge participants. These retail store owners, they came prepared, like they showed up. I had such a great time teaching during this challenge. And during the challenge, I taught about many of the metrics that we can track in our brick and mortar businesses. I teach about these metrics because I truly believe knowledge is power. When I teach shopkeepers how to calculate these numbers, I also teach them what they can do with the information, like how to understand what the numbers mean or how we can improve them. the meaning behind them. What is it saying to you about your business? That's the stuff no one ever really talks about. The one thing I want to point out, and I did point out during the challenge, is that many of the calculations and formulas are based on a full year of data. It's a full year of your financial information or metrics or whatever it is that we're talking about. It's so interesting when new shopkeepers join our membership groups and they become anxious to hit that 1 year mark because they want to calculate these numbers for themselves. They see from other group members the power of knowing their numbers because they see what other group members are doing. They see how they're growing. They see how they're like implementing what they're learning. They hear the stories and examples I share about other shopkeepers and how shopkeepers are doing big things once they become truly informed about their businesses. And some of these shopkeepers are doing incredible things. I have a few stories to share, and I wonder now, as I'm sitting here recording, if I should do a podcast episode on that. I don't think I share enough about some of the amazing things our group members are doing. And for sure, I need to bring the Shopkeeper Story series back because that's a good way for me to share with all of you some of the incredible group members that we have. Anyhow, I'm digressing here. The one thing I want to highlight here is that retail is a roller coaster ride. Regardless of when your slow season may be, we go high, we go low, we coast, right? Sometimes we just coast along. We go through it all during a 1 year time frame. Many of you are nodding your head right now saying, yes, Kathy, yes, it's up and down and left and right. Sometimes we feel like we're in a washing machine, right? And then some of you get frustrated and annoyed with this. I get it. I've been there. So today I'm here to try to change your perspective, at least just a little bit around this. If you can view your business in the big picture, how can you optimize or make the most of slow seasons? This is something else I'm going to say again. I want you to pause. I want you to stop multitasking. If you're running on the treadmill, don't fall off. Pause and take a break because I really want everyone to listen to this. If you can view the big picture of your business, how can you optimize or make the most of slow seasons? The Savvy Shopkeeper tagline is work less, profit more, and grow. And it's that tagline for a reason. It's because shopkeepers often struggle with time management. So why can't we embrace the slow seasons? Isn't that a great question? If we're constantly running around like chickens with our heads cut off, why can't we appreciate the slower times? I'm sure there are plenty of psychological explanations, like the dopamine hit that we get from lots of foot traffic or online traffic, the constant cha-chings on our Shopify apps or whatever it may be on our phones or even on our registers. I get it, I really do. I love to make revenue in my business, but I'm here to protect your mindset. So I'm here to either enlighten you or remind you that it's the full year or the big picture that truly matters, not the 1 week where a blizzard or freezing temperatures took your foot traffic to nearly zero, or where maybe you had a negative sales day because you didn't sell a thing and then that one customer walked in for a return. Ugh, right? Like that's a huge ugh, capital UGH. If you're a newbie, you may not know what your slow seasons will be yet. If you've been open 1 to 3 years, you probably do know what they are, or when they are, I should say. And you cringe at the thought of it, or you really hate it. But again, what if you embraced it? What if you planned for it? Don't get me wrong here either. I don't want all retailers to manifest slow seasons. Some retailers don't have slow seasons, and that's fantastic. I also don't want retailers to be in denial if their business is struggling in general. There's a difference between a business that's experiencing slow seasons and a business that's drowning. If slow seasons do happen in your business, I don't want this to sink you. I'm pretty sure after everything I've said in this episode, you're like, yes, Kathy, I hear you. I don't want it to dampen your spirits, and I certainly don't want it to hurt your business. For the sake of keeping this episode short and sweet, although I feel like I've said the same thing over and over again, I want to share 2 helpful blog posts that I wrote where I share some helpful tips on how to utilize your time and protect your mind during these seasons. I wrote these blog posts because I had to figure out how to manage my mind and these really slow times in my own business when I opened 6 years ago. One is titled How to Survive the Slow Seasons in Retail, and the other is titled How to Thrive During the Slow Seasons in Retail. You can get links to both blog posts in the show notes to this episode if you visit savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 110. So although this podcast episode, normally I give like actionable things that you can do, the reason I'm not doing that is because I really wanted to focus on the mindset of it. And I know I have these 2 blog posts for you to read filled with ideas. One thing we don't do enough is celebrate our wins. Did you have a kick-ass December? Then why are you beating yourself up about January? Go reward yourself for the amazing Q4 you had. You deserve it. Okay, I really have to wrap this up. During a conversation with Jen that I mentioned earlier from Rustic Rehabs, when we were talking about slow seasons in retail, she said, we don't properly find realignment. And she was suggesting that we find all of this joy and pleasure in serving our customers, especially in Q4. We're super busy. We love it. We're generating a lot of revenue. We're selling through all of the merchandise that we brought into our stores in June, July, August, September. And then when January kicks in, we know it's coming. Many of us know it's coming. We don't find the time, or we don't find the mental space to get realigned again. And she's right. As retailers, it helps to learn how to shift gears. So I have a classic Mustang. It's a 65 Mustang. I've had it, my goodness, probably 15 years, maybe longer. She's, and I'm going to say she, yes, the Mustang is a she. She's what classic car owners call a driver. She's not souped up or fancy, although people see it and think it's fancy. But man, she's pretty and fast with a 4-speed 289 engine. Yes, I drive a stick shift. Anyhow, I can't always drive this Mustang in 4th gear, even though sometimes I want to, right? It's fast. But there are so many times I get in that car and I want to enjoy the ride. And if I want to enjoy the country roads I'm driving down, or even the big city streets, because I'm definitely a city girl, when I'm driving down those streets, I want to enjoy the scenery on a beautiful spring day. That's what I picture. Windows down, my boys in the car with me. They love being in the car. They love having the windows open. My husband loves that he doesn't have to drive. Logan's in the back seat. He loves being in that car. And when I want to enjoy those moments, I have to get her, meaning the Mustang, I have to get her out of 4th gear. I have to slow down. It is the same in my business. I have learned to embrace those slower periods. I have learned to enjoy them. I now understand that it's the big picture in my retail business that matters. And really, in any business, it's the same with Savvy Shopkeeper. The same exact thing applies. It is a long game. Sometimes I'll be in 1st gear, especially when I need to rest and reset. Sometimes I'll be in 2nd or 3rd gear when I'm working and I'm productive and the pace is picking up. And sometimes I'll be in 4th gear. And for me, that is 4th quarter. It's busy, but I also love that time too. I've learned I actually need the quieter times. I need the quieter times to do all of the projects that I don't have time to do throughout the rest of the year. To breathe a little bit, to give my brain space to breathe, to plan, to be the CEO, to strategize, to have the visions for the growth of the business, and to have fun. Yes, have fun. For instance, me going away for the weekend and doing this Biz Bestie getaway at a really cool Airbnb in Cleveland, Ohio, that could not have happened if I was still going at full speed. I had to slow down. So during this same conversation with Jen, she also said, we should celebrate the wins and ride the waves. And I can't agree more. When we learn that our businesses are a ride, a year-long ride, we also learn to enjoy the ride. And I want you to enjoy the ride. If you want to see the show notes to this episode or find links to anything I mentioned, you can visit my blog at savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 111. Until the next episode, be savvy and boss up.